Okay, this video has to do with sketching the derivative, and this lab is right in your packet called Sketching the Derivative Lab. And I also have in the class, I have all the solutions, but I wanted to do some of the problems with you, and we actually finished this in class, so it was kind of neat that we could practice this in class. So this is right in your packet. And I'm just going to get you started on this. I know we've already had your notes on this, but it's nice to practice it again. So basically, we're going to sketch the derivative of each graph and then pick the graph 1 through 4 that matches your derivative. So we're going to kind of practice this to do this. I'm going to do A and D first, and then we'll go back and do the others. So this one right here, what I want you to do is when we sketch the derivative, I want you to do your F prime bar. All right. Now the F prime bar basically is just a number line, but we're talking about when you say F prime, we're talking about slopes. So I look at my graph, I say, okay, there's a zero slope here. And if there's a zero slope here, it's going to cross there. My Y value will be 0. Then I go, oh, there's a zero slope here. So I know it's going to cross here as well because that'll be 0. And I want you to come directly below and draw this line underneath too. Now, as we look at our function, we can see that it's decreasing from here to here, so we can put negative signs. That means we have negative slopes. From here to here, it's increasing, so we have positive slopes, or it's increasing, and down here, it's going to be decreasing. So for our function, this means decreasing, increasing, and decreasing. For our F prime bar, it means that if we're sketching the derivative, this means it's below the x-axis, above the x-axis, and below. Now, this will help you organize your thoughts. So I said, okay, I have to go below first, cross this, and come down. We're going to actually do this. Oops, that's not quite pretty. Let's try that again. It's kind of hard to do this on this. I want to make it a little bit nicer. Oh, it's not bad. Okay, so there's a sketch of my graph. I want you to notice after I do this a couple times, we're going to come back and look at this and see that, okay, that's a sketch. I don't have any other points, so that's a sketch. Now let's look at D. D is another polynomial function, and I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to do my F prime bar, set it all up. I see 0 here, so I know it's a line here, 0 here, there's a line here. I know my graph is going to cross right at 0 here. And then I look in the middle here, this is a 0 slope as well, so it's going to cross there. I said, okay. And then I look at what's going on in my function. It's increasing here, it's decreasing there. I forgot to draw the line there. It's increasing there, and then it's decreasing here. So I look at it and say, all right, I've got what's going on in my function. Now remember, this means above, below for F prime. So when I go to sketch this, and I'll use a red because that's what I did, is I'm going to not do that. Go away, go back away. I don't want that here. All right. Sorry, guys. Just a minute. Oh, this always happens when I do a video. Something keeps me humble. Guess I'm going to stop the video. Oh, no, I don't have to, I guess. I was going to stop it because I couldn't get rid of it. So let's erase this. Again, this keeps me humble. So we're going to go through and actually sketch the graph. So I must have hit something. So I'm going to do this and say, all right, I have to be above, below, above, below. So there's the sketch of my derivative. Now, using upper level math and looking at things, patterns are so important. If you look at this, I have one turn of the blue graph, 1, 2, 3 turns. Notice I have 2 turns on my derivative, and look at this one. I have 2 turns here on my blue graph, and I have 1 turn on my red one. So I'm like, okay, it looks like my derivative has 1 less turn. And if it has 1 less turn, that means that has 1 less power. So the power is dropping every time they do the derivative. All right, let's look at B. So now I have B here. I have something very similar, but the one thing I want to do, let's kind of set this up because I want us to sketch the derivative. So I'm going to do it my F prime, is I notice I have some sharp corners going on here. And if there's sharp corners there, that means there's no derivative there. And if you think about it, if you tried to find slope there, it's kind of like a teeter-totter. It could kind of go any way you you have it. So there is no derivative there. So we're still going to draw a line down here and right here because it still has a difference in our function. And the other thing I want you to notice that these have a constant slope. All right. They have a constant slope on all these. So it's like three broken lines, if you will. Okay. So when I do this and if I were to know this is still increasing, this is still decreasing, and my function is still increasing, but because these are straight lines, which means it's a constant slope, when I actually graph the derivative, I do know that it's just got to be above, below, and above. And you're like, okay, I know that already. But it's going to look differently because they're straight. They're not curved like here. Say, okay, this one's above, so it could be something like this. And it has to be a open circle there because it doesn't exist. Then it's below down here. So I'm going to pick here all the way over to here. And then it's above. And I could pick here. Okay. So let me erase that last thing. I didn't mean to put a little line there. So that's the look of that graph. It's like a step function because the lines are straight and you have sharp corners. Now let's look at C. C actually is done very similar, but we might graph it because it's a sketch a little bit different than the actual graph of the derivative. There's our f prime bar. I see the slope is 0 there, so I'm going to come down here, and I know it crosses the graph here. I know that it's decreasing here. The function is decreasing, but it has like a little bend to it, and it's increasing here. And this function actually kind of looks like this. It curves a little bit, but if you were to just kind of have something that I knew went below and above, that would be fine. But that is how this goes. Now I'm going to show you, if you go to the next page, you get to pick. So go ahead and pick the numbers that go with each one. I don't need to do that. So you can pick that because we've already sketched them. But it does say, what do you notice about the derivatives that you sketched? Well, one is I noticed that sharp corners, again, there's no derivative there. Okay. And the other thing I noticed that when I sketch the derivatives, it's always one less power. It's one less power. Okay? Because there's one less turn in my graph, right? So let's look at more of this function. Now I kind of started doing some of these in class, so I wanted to show you this one right here. I did my f prime bar here. Now the one thing that makes this interesting on this one here is that when I do my f prime bar, the whole graph is increasing, so I have pluses all the way across, which means my whole function's above. If I actually can find some points, which I did, I found 0, -3, and 3, 3, and I found the slope. I see it's 2. Then the derivative is the line y equals 2. It's flat, and you can actually be very, very precise because I had some actual points. You can do the same with this other one. Again, it's a straight line. If I did my f prime bar, which I didn't show here, I'd see that this graph is forever decreasing. So I stacked and racked a couple points. Please do that and see if you get the slope to be -3/2. And so I graphed it. So straight lines are kind of cool. And then you continue on with this, you're actually going to start sketching all these derivatives. So I'm hoping that you feel comfortable enough now to keep going. Everybody did this in class, kind of, they were working through these, sketching all these derivatives, doing their f prime bar. They were beautiful. And actually, my kids are pretty good at sketching the derivative. I think the f prime bar really helps. So enjoy practicing that. And then as you keep going here, these are multiple choice. And so I know this takes a lot of pages in your packet, but I don't care, where you're able to find the graph, see if you can sketch the derivative and see which one matches it. So that's just one problem right there. So you get to it's multiple choice. Again, with this one, it's the same. Find which graph matches it. So I would set up your f prime bar right here and do the sketch up here and see if you can find it right off the bat. Hidden 3 is the same way, and 4 is the same way. I do want you to notice on 4 that this is not a sharp corner. So a sharp corner, so you're actually able to do a nice derivative there. And I think there's one more on here. Yeah, so go through and do these. It's just a nice practice for sketching. and I wanted to give you a good start on the lab. So I'm sorry for the mistakes I made. I just didn't want to record it again. So have a great day, and thank you.